There's a full serving of laughs on the menu at Duffy's Tavern tonight with Archie the Manager, played by Ed Gardner. Archie's colleagues in comedy are Miss Duffy, Clifton Finnegan, and Eddie the Waiter. This Sunday, the big show comes your way once again on NBC. And just listen to a few of the stars who'll be with you. Fred Allen, Jack Carson, Mindy Carson, Ed Archie Gardner, Ed Wynn, and many, many more. And, of course, your MC will be Tallulah Bankhead. Listen Sunday for The Big Show. Ladies and gentlemen, that phone bell means exciting adventure. Hello? Hello? The handsome young man answering the phone is Archie Goodwin. A mountain of a man engrossed in deep thought in the oversized armchair is Nero Wolfe.
Hey, boss. Oh, Mr. Wolfe. Mr. Wolfe. There's a guy on the phone wants us to take a case. Seems that someone was mad at a guy who was mad, and now this guy on the phone is mad, wants us to find out who did the killing. What do you say, Mr. Wolfe? We need the money. Hello? Yes, Mr. Wolfe says he'll be happy to take the case. Just present yourself and a check for $2,000 at 601 West 35th Street at 11 o'clock. Mr. Wolfe can't wait till you get here. He's dying to go to work. Goodbye. Greatest detective in the world. The only trouble is, he is.
Yes, listeners, Archie is so right. He is the greatest detective in the world, and the fattest, and the least energetic. He's Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout, and brought to you over this NBC network in a new series of adventures by Mr. Sydney Greenstreet. Tonight, it's The Case of the Beautiful Archer. That's a good title. And it was a good case, too. It began in the consulting room of Dr. Raynard Townley of the Townley Sanitarium, skipping a jump north of Nyack, New York, when a very lovely young lovely glared across the desk at the good doctor.
Shall we pretend you don't know who I am, Dr. Townley?
How could we possibly do that, my dear Diana Lawrence? 23 years old, daughter of one of our better-known sculptors, Michael Lawrence. You were born in Johannesburg, educated in London and Paris, and live at present 100 yards from here in your father's cottage on Berry Hill Lane. How's that?
It's intended to be staggering, isn't it?
You take no cream or sugar in your coffee, were winner of the Women's National Archery Tournament for 1947, and have an exceedingly high temper.
Let's stop the nonsense. You have an inpatient here named Willard Garth. Well, Willard Garth happens to be my fiancé.
Yes, he has mentioned the fact during his analysis.
And, well, has he by any chance mentioned his reasons for suddenly refusing to see me during the past 5 weeks?
He didn't have to, Miss Lawrence.
Well, what do you mean?
I mean that I recommended he give you up as a bad job.
What? Yeah, well, I suppose you had some purpose in saying what you did.
Of course. I'm the boy's doctor. You think you're in love with Willard Garth, I know, but actually, you're infatuated with the Garth millions.
You take a lot on yourself, don't you, Doctor?
I consider it important to relieve Willard of all painful external pressure.
You've done well for Willard, Dr. Townley, relieving him of me.
I think so.
Now, let's see you relieve yourself of me.
You, purchased the gun for this occasion, Miss Lawrence?
Yes.
And what exactly do you hope to accomplish with it?
A quick and complete reversal of your decision about me. I'm not as easy to handle as Willard is, you see. And if you intend to ruin my life, then I intend to end yours, here and now.
The phone is ringing.
Let it ring.
Just as you say. It's the house phone, Miss Lawrence. It may be Willard, you know.
Oh, Willard?
Yes, he usually phones me from his room at about this time every day.
Well, all right. Answer it, but be careful what you say.
You're in command, it seems. Hello? Oh, why, hello. I thought it would be you, Willard. Look, my boy, Diana Lawrence is here. I've had a talk with her, and I've reconsidered my opinion. Yes, I'm quite serious. If you're at all sensible, you'll see her regularly and plan on a marriage as soon as you're discharged. Yes. Oh, you do? Very well. I'll see if she'll talk to you. Miss Lawrence.
Yes?
Do you want to speak with him?
Give me the phone.
Of course. Here you are, and I'll take this gun. There we are. Now, stand away, Miss Lawrence.
But Willard's on the phone.
Willard is not on the phone. No one was on the phone. The ring came from the push-button bell under my desk here.
Oh.
Sometimes I find it convenient to interrupt my consultations with a phone call.
Oh, you smug, deceitful, self-sufficient...
Murder is a vexatious business. You'll be grateful to me one day.
All right. Give me my gun and let me go.
The gun, I'm afraid, stays with me. Here in this Majolica cabinet. I'd scarcely feel justified in trusting you with it. And now, with your permission, or without it, the interview is ended.
Later that day, the phone in the Lawrence house on Berry Hill Lane began to jingle. And this time it was no phony.
Hello?
Diana?
Yes?
Willard, darling. Diana, darling, it's Willard.
Imagine. Has the doctor let you use the telephone just as if you were a great big adult?
Oh, I've got to see you, sweetheart, and I didn't call you to argue. Love, beauty, understanding, that's what matters. Isn't it? Isn't it?
Do I hear the overtones of a change of heart?
Oh, Diana, what's happened wasn't my fault. He poisoned me against you.
Then why don't you walk out of that amateur nut house and stand up like a man?
I probably shall, Diana. And now, please listen to me. He's letting me have the limousine tonight from 8 until 12. I want us to go for a ride and talk and talk and talk until everything is clear. Clear as a bell, my baby.
Don't tell me he's trusting you to drive.
Oh, no. No, one of the handymen here will chauffeur us. Oh, say you'll come, Diana. Will you? Say it. Say yes. Say you will.
Well, yes, Willard. I'll be glad to.
Oh, 8 o'clock, then?
8.
Oh, bless you. Bless you, my angel.
Oh, so that's it. You want my father's money. That's what you love, not me.
Willard, the chauffeur will hear you.
It's the way Townley says it is. He's right. He's right.
Oh, why did I let you talk me into this? What a fool I was to have come at all. You're sick inside, Willard, so utterly, hopelessly sick.
Oh, so now I'm hopelessly sick.
Yes, you are.
You're trying to confuse me. Take advantage of me. Wind me around your finger. Just because I love you too much. That's it. That's my illness. Of course, I see it now. You're the thing I must get rid of. You with your beautiful, beautiful face and your twisted values. You're at the bottom of all my agony.
Willard! Willard!
I'm saving myself. I'm saving myself. Once you're dead, the sickness is ended. I'll be safe. I'll be safe. I'll be safe.
Willard.
Dr. Townley?
Yes.
Come in. Mr. Wolfe's been expecting you.
Come in, Dr. Townley. Come in. Have a chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wolfe. I'm so happy you've agreed to take this case.
Have a glass of beer.
Oh, no. Never at this time of morning, thank you.
Well, Doctor, the newspapers check with what you told me. The girl and young Garth went out for a ride in your limousine last night. The car was driven by one of your handymen.
That's right. Haynes, his name is.
And they never came back. Young Garth was found dead in the car with 2 bullets in him. The girl was gone, and also Haynes, the handyman chauffeur, huh?
Correct, sir.
Have you any idea where he could be?
No, sir.
And the young lady, tell me about her.
She's Diana Lawrence, daughter of Michael Lawrence.
The sculptor?
The sculptor. She lives with him in a small cottage near my sanatorium on Berry Hill Lane. An extremely aggressive and self-centered female with more than a slight flair for violence.
Your description might easily lead me to suspect her of this murder, sir.
Well, I'm aware of that. And I don't think you'll be far off the mark. As I told you on the phone, she tried to murder me yesterday morning.
The The police have made no headway in locating her?
No, the homicide division has contacted her father, but he's remained quite noncommittal. He simply says that he's sure she's incapable of killing a fly and that he hasn't laid eyes on her since 8 o'clock last night.
Highly suspicious behavior.
She was unquestionably in the car with young Garth when he was murdered.
She wasn't alone in the car with him.
You're referring to Haynes?
Yes, but he can't be found either, remember?
It appears that he failed to list his address on his job application. But somehow, Mr. Wolfe, I'm quite sure he'll show up this afternoon.
Somehow, Dr. Townley, if I were you, I wouldn't be quite so sure. We must begin by facing the initial problem of locating our suspects. Archie?
Yes, sir?
Get out the car and drive up to the house on Berry Hill Lane.
And then?
There you will ask Mr. Michael Lawrence to be sensible enough to cooperate with us in finding his daughter.
And if the answer is no?
I recommend, Archie, that you flatly refuse to take it.
Mr. Lawrence was no simple baby to handle. He was in a studio when I walked in, chiseling on a statue of a boy and a girl, both wearing less clothes than the law allows. And before I got a chance to state my name, he commenced giving me a free lecture on the marble work of art.
She's good. Really good. She's practically superb. The Ariadne.
The what, Ariadne?
The girl in the statue.
Oh.
That's Ariadne, tragic nymph of Greek mythology. Don't tell me you're not familiar with Apollo and Ariadne.
All right, I won't.
The Apollo, on the other hand, is unfinished. The face, you see, it lacks something. The passion of yearning, Olympian desire. And yet, you know, the two figures have motion.
Like your daughter?
Eh?
Your daughter, Diana, she's got motion also. As I hear it, she's been in motion ever since she murdered Willard Garth last night in the back end of a limousine.
So you're another flatfoot.
Not exactly. I'm paid in private by Nero Wolfe.
Nero Wolfe?
Yeah.
You don't mean that a creditable man like Wolfe thinks Diana killed young Garth?
Well, he'd like to talk over the possibility with her.
How laughable. Look at that face. Is there anything of the murderous in a face like that?
In a face like what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Diana posed for the Ariadne, you see, and the likeness is exact. Do you think a girl of this type, classic, sensitive, civilized, could descend to the clumsy, brute level of murder?
Well, it's a little hard to imagine.
There. Even you agree with me.
On the other hand...
Shall we discuss the other hand over a cup of coffee? I'm quite exhausted.
If you insist.
I do. Sit down and inhale the atmosphere of culture at its source. There's a pot warming on the stove.
Pot of what? Coffee or culture? Well, wait and see what he means. Should never ignore a phone call. Who knows? Might be something important. Yes?
It's Diana, Father.
Oh, yes, Diana.
It's all over the papers.
Yes, I know.
Well, I don't think they'll find me where I am, and I'm staying here until things quiet down a little.
Where are you, honey?
What did you say?
I said, where are you?
You said honey. Daddy, you never call me honey.
I know it's because I'm excited. Where are you, sweetheart?
Well, you mustn't let anybody find out.
Not a soul in the world. Where are you?
Well, you know where Tyne Pike turns off to the left beyond Bardsville?
Yes?
Well, I'm...
Call me later, Angel.
But, Father,
Oh, get that motorman's number.
You will live, my friend, but not long if you don't control your curiosity.
You hit me. With that mallet you hit me. What was the big idea?
Do you really have to ask that question? Weren't you trying to trick my daughter into disclosing her whereabouts?
The police are pretty interested in her whereabouts.
Then let them find her. But you can't be surprised, my friend, if I choose to protect Diana's interests.
So he's working on an Apollo and Ariadne, is he, Archie?
Who cares about Apollo and Ariadne? The point is how he worked on my gourd.
That, of course, was unfortunate, my boy, but... You get that piece?
Mm-hmm. Hello?
Inspector Kramer.
Hold it. For you. Here.
Thanks. Yes?
Wolf,
How are you, Inspector?
I hear you're in on the Garth killing.
Not very deeply, I am afraid. We are still trying to locate the Lawrence girl.
Well, you can forget about that.
Yeah?
Yes, we
I've already located her and released her on a habeas corpus.
That sounds interesting.
Her father had a lawyer on our heads before she was in here 10 minutes.
Too bad you couldn't have held on to her.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not so sure we want her.
Why not?
Well, first of all, it's not likely she did it.
No?
No. Ballistics stated that the bullets that killed Willard Garth were not fired from point-blank range. And she was sitting beside him on the back seat.
I see.
Also, we found the murder weapon in the grass near where the limousine was parked, and she admitted it was hers.
That sounds like a poor reason to release her.
Well, the point is she wasn't in possession of the gun when the killing happened. At least so she says.
No, who what?
That doctor.
What doctor?
Townley. The guy who runs that sanitarium. According to her, he took the gun away from her for safekeeping at noon yesterday.
There was a little more talk between them, something about fresh cigar ashes that were found in the dashboard ashtray of the limousine. After that, the boss hung up and exerted himself enough to put a call through to the Townley Sanatorium.
I'm afraid the doctor is very busy just now.
So am I, and my business happens to be highly important.
Well, I'll say you called, Mr. Wolfe, and I'll ask him to contact you just as soon as he has a free moment.
Do you happen to have a free moment, miss?
Why, yes, sir.
Could you spend it by telling me if that handyman, Mr. Haynes, has been located?
Why, yes, as a matter of fact, he has. One of the staff just found out where he lives, Mr. Wolfe.
Well?
He has a little cottage at 206 Dockside Road. That's out near Sheepshead Bay.
Thank you. Archie.
I'm going someplace, I suppose?
You are? You're going to Sheepshead Bay.
Hello there. Looking for a guy I can't find.
Oh?
Yeah, his name is Haynes. Stopped at the cottage up there, but there's no one there. I saw you here on the wharf fishing, so
What did you say his name is?
Haynes. Haines.
Oh, Haynes.
Yeah, do you know him?
Well, there's a fella named Hines used to fish out here.
No, not Hines. Haynes.
Couldn't be Huntingburg?
No, it couldn't be. The name is Haynes. Hain.
Haynes, give me a hand here, eh?
Well, what do you know?
Funny, huh? That guy seems to think my name is Haynes.
Yeah, so do I.
You do?
Yes, I got back to our house soaked to the skin and minus Haynes, and just in time to see the boss in the exhausting process of walking across the room to answer the phone.
Hello?
This is Dr. Townley. You called me.
So I did.
About the murder?
More specifically, about the statement from Diana Lawrence that you removed a firearm from her possession yesterday morning.
That's quite correct. It's here in my Majonica cabinet.
Is it?
Of course it is.
I suggest you check.
Just a moment. Mr. Wolfe,
Yeah?
I'd like to see you at once.
The gun, I suppose, has vanished.
What? How did you know?
Because it is at ballistics, Doctor. It turned out to be the gun that killed Willard Garth.
I see.
Do you?
Yes, I understand everything now. It's all so crystal clear.
Just how crystal clear?
I'm quite certain, Mr. Wolfe, that I can put my finger on the killer.
And I think it would be well if you came here immediately.
No, I'm afraid it's impossible, sir. There's an important operation scheduled, and I simply cannot leave.
What do you suggest?
Well, is it outside the realm of possibility that you come here? Is it, Mr. Wolfe? Hello, Mr. Wolfe? Mr. Wolfe?
When my boss has to leave the house, it's a major tragedy. Sometimes he rages, sometimes he curses the whole detective business, lock, stock, and barrel. And sometimes he keeps very quiet and grips the side of the car desperately and tries not to inhale any fresh air. This was one of the quiet times.
Just go slowly, Archie, but get there as quickly as you can.
Oh, you don't want a chauffeur, Mr. Wolfe. What you need is a magician.
Keep your eye on the road and don't strain yourself to make superfluous witticisms.
Why don't you try relaxing a little? I hear there hasn't been a man-eating tiger sighted on the Sawmill River Parkway in the last 500 years.
Your liberty is out of order. Don't try to make light of a deplorable situation.
here's the sanatorium. And there's Dr. Townley coming to meet us.
It's terribly nice of you to have come, Mr. Wolfe. I've heard about your aversion to traveling, and I appreciate your going to the trouble.
Don't mention it. Oh, Archie, help me out with my other arm.
There we are. Now, calm down. You're all in one piece.
I think you'll find the trip highly profitable, Mr. Wolfe. You'll consider it time very well.
Hey, what's the matter?
What is it? What happened?
He's been shot.
It's hardly likely. There wasn't a sound.
This kind of shot doesn't make a sound, boss.
What do you mean?
Better take a look for yourself. There's an arrow in his back, and he's dead. We remembered that Dr. Townley had said Diana Lawrence had won the Women's National Archery Tournament for 1947. The Lawrence house was visible through the trees 100 yards away, so we started for it and the sculptor's studio. There's no one around.
So this is his latest effort, Apollo and Ariadne.
Yeah. Done a little work on it since I was here. The Apollo's face is more finished and... Hey, boss.
Yes?
You know, somehow or other, Apollo looks a little familiar.
I wouldn't be surprised, Archie. I think if you examine it closely...
Mr. Wolfe.
Our host.
You remember me, don't you? I met you once at a dinner party at your house, the time they opened the new museum on 67th Street.
Of course, Mr. Lawrence.
And to what do I owe the honor?
It's not much of an honor. Dr. Townley has been murdered.
No.
I am afraid Mr. Goodwin is being accurate.
He's been murdered with a bow and arrow. And what does that mean to you, Mr. Lawrence?
I'm sorry. I've been a fool. An awful fool.
You can't blame yourself too much. If you'd cooperated with the police instead of looking out for your daughter's interest, the man would still be alive.
But I assure you that...
Where's the girl?
She should be here now. She phoned me a while ago and said she was coming by for passage money to Rio.
You were looking for me?
Boss, Diana. Put the gun down, Angel.
And tie a rope around my neck?
Might I inquire if your plan is to kill us all, Miss Lawrence?
Oh, what would yours be if the world was after you for something you didn't do?
Wouldn't you be willing to risk persuading a jury of that?
Thanks, no. I'll skip that chance. Father, get me the money.
Diana, sweetheart, don't make me a part of your murders. That's asking too much of love.
Don't you know I'm not guilty?
No, Diana, I don't.
Leave that gun away, Diana.
Haynes.
Looks like I walked in on the nose.
That's him, boss, the guy who soused me.
Take a little of your own advice. Relax, Archie. What do you want here, Mr. Haynes?
I want to give up and try to straighten out this little deal. Mr. Lawrence.
Yes?
Here's your money back. You got a right to call me a welcher. I promised I wouldn't give evidence against the girl, and you paid my price. But enough is enough, and right here and now I'm unloading.
Just what does this mean?
It means I saw her do it.
Oh, you stupid, lying, rotten...
Oh, yeah.
Grab her, Archie. Grab her. Get the pair of them out of here.
What can I say to myself now? What can I do?
I'm sorry, Mr. Lawrence, but it's not necessary to eat your heart out. Many fathers before you have done their best and failed.
But I had a special duty toward Diana.
Special duty?
Yes. Well, you see, you'll find it out sooner or later, so I'd best tell you now. I'm not a real father. I adopted her 9 years ago when she was 14.
I see.
And I should never have done it. I realize now that I wasn't equal to the task.
Well, all's not lost yet. They may not convict her, you know.
Yeah?
I said they may not convict her.
But how could they fail to convict her? She killed Garth, didn't she?
Did she?
She shot him?
But the gun was in Townley's possession.
She could easily have stolen that. She could have broken into his office later. It wasn't locked.
What wasn't locked?
The Majolica cabinet. I mean...
I believe you mean what you said, Lawrence, the Majolica cabinet. Though for the life of me, I can't see how you could know whether it was locked or not, unless you had the experience of opening it. Could it be that you went looking for the gun yourself after Townley said he had confiscated it? That you killed Townley with a bow and arrow, which you handled as well as your daughter, because he was just on the point of telling me that you knew where the gun was, and that you were the likeliest murder suspect?
You must be mad.
Oh, sir, not I. But you are mad and more than a little. You hated Willard Garth. It was you who were making the marriage impossible. You lowered them, and in the end, you killed him.
How could I have killed him?
I'll tell you a little secret, Mr. Lawrence. The police found cigar ash in the dashboard tray of the death car. Chemical analysis showed that the ash was from an El Adoro cigar. What have you got in your left hand, sir?
In my... an Eladora cigar. And in my right hand, a derringer.
Powerful and admirable little weapon, Lawrence.
I suggest you show proper respect for it by dropping all this here and now.
You don't wish to hear me say the rest, that you were horribly in love with Diana, your own adopted daughter? In love and hopelessly, eternally frustrated? You begrudge me the triumph of accusing you of having bribed Haynes to let you take his place at the driver's seat of the limousine? And further bribed and threatened him into putting on his show of merry pranks and false confessions to confuse us all beyond measure?
You said I loved Diana. Would I do all this to her if I did?
Oh, but of course, such love as yours is really hate. You were content to see her dead rather than relinquish her. Like all miserly, small-hearted men, you would rather kill the thing you love than muster the generosity necessary to seeing it attain happiness.
That's enough out of you.
I should think it was much too much.
It is.
Archie, my boy, I'm grateful to you, both for coming back into the house when you did and for being such a good shot.
Hope you remember that next time you feel like insulting me. Tell me, what's with that cigar ash routine? Who told you the ashes in the limousine were from an Eladoro, boss? I never heard anything about that.
As a matter of fact, neither did I. No one could possibly have determined the brand by any chemical means in existence. I knew that, you see, and I took the long chance that Lawrence didn't.
Oh. But I still don't get the mainspring of the deal. How did you know he was in love with Diana?
That was genius. I have to admit it. You see, it all hinged on the statue of Apollo and Ariadne. According to the Greek myth, Apollo fell deeply in love with the nymph, but because they were of different worlds, he was condemned to pursue her always and never to catch her.
Well, what's that got to do with the price of eggs?
Isn't it perfectly obvious? Didn't he tell you that Diana had posed for the Ariadne?
Yeah, but I still don't...
And you yourself remarked on the fact that the finished Apollo looked somehow familiar, didn't you, Archie?
Yeah, I did, boss.
Don't you know why that was?
You mean that...
I mean that Michael Lawrence unconsciously revealed the true state of his heart. He didn't intend to, I suppose. But precisely and accurately, he chiseled the features of the tortured God in his very own image.
Oh.
And speaking of torture, Archie...
Yeah?
Will we be home in time for dinner?
Oh, boss, you can't be that hungry.
Oh, I am. Good heavens, Archie. Do you realize that I haven't eaten since lunch?
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sydney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story by Peter Berry was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Larry Dobkin as Archie Goodwin and Gigi Pearson, Ted Von Elst, Bill Johnstone, Peter Leeds, and Jay Novello. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Brave Rabbit. Don Stanley speaking. There's fun and laughs later tonight when Ed Archie Gardner stars as Archie the manager in Duffy's Tavern. As usual, Duffy won't be there, but Archie will be there, armed with his own whimsical version of the English language. Another Friday favorite you'll hear later is The Delightful Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as Chester A. Riley. Stay tuned for Nero Wolfe, who follows transcribed in 30 seconds. Later tonight, over most of these NBC stations, Duffy's Tavern comes your way. And on the menu at Duffy's tonight, there's a blue plate special of grilled English language, served up by the delightfully ungrammatical Archie. Plus laughs garnished with chuckles, brought to you by Archie's remarkable crew. There's no cover charge at Duffy's Tavern. Just keep your dial tuned to NBC. And this Sunday means another broadcast of The Big Show. And your guests include Fred Allen, Douglas Fairbanks, Danny Thomas, and many, many more. Tallulah, of course, is your hostess on The Big Show. Ladies and gentlemen, that phone bell means adventure.
Hello? Hello?
The young man answering the phone is Archie Goodwin. The mountain of a man engaged in deep thought in the oversized armchair is Nero Wolfe.
Mr. Wolfe, we've got a case. I'm not sure whether somebody's going to kill a rabbit or a rabbit is going to kill somebody, but either way, it's going to be murder. Please, Mr. Wolfe, even orchids have to eat.
Phooey.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wolfe will take the case. As a matter of fact, he's working on it right now.
Money, work. Bah.
Huh. Greatest detective in the world. Only trouble is, he is.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Archie is right. Nero Wolfe is the greatest detective in the world, and the fattest, and the least energetic. Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout, and brought to you over this NBC network in a new series of adventures by Mr. Sydney Greenstreet. Tonight, it's the case Nero Wolfe likes to remember as the case of the friendly rabbit. He sometimes prefers his proverb scramble. It began in lots of places. Let's take a look at a few of them. In particular, the richly appointed library of a man named Veek.
Mr. Veek, what's happening?
Relax, Haynes. Your blood pressure.
I thought it was a gag, but you really are shutting the club down.
I'm shutting it down.
Why? I got the joint rolling. The suckers are pouring in.
And next week, the governor's committee.
Huh?
It's moving out of Baylor County. Our joint enterprise is in Baylor County. I think the club needs a rest. Crime committees so rarely admire gambling.
Oh, that's different.
So it is. The club needs a rest. You need a vacation. Florida, perhaps?
I don't like Florida.
Pick any place you like, just so long as you get out of reach of a subpoena.
The heat's on, huh, boss?
You've just coined a phrase that may very well catch on. Get out and stay out of the state until I send for you.
Okay, Mr. Veek. Sure, Mr. Veek.
Marshal?
Yeah?
That about covers us in Baylor, am I right?
You're right.
The dear governor's dear committee will be sorely disappointed. However, I doubt it'll give up quite so soon.
I wouldn't think so.
Therefore, have the truck driver deliver another shipment of carrots to the rabbit farm. Eh, Marshal?
Okay, boss.
Come in, Williams.
Good afternoon, Governor.
Good afternoon. Williams, I'm disturbed.
The crime committee, sir?
It was doing well, very well. And then
I know, sir.
there's a leak. Someone is passing on confidential information. Who?
That's the problem. Who? Started 3 weeks ago.
A three-man committee, Wilson, McCarthy, Tolliver. One of them, Williams?
I'd stake my life, sir, no.
Then who?
You've forgotten Collier, committee secretary.
You have reason to suspect him?
No, nothing that means anything. Except...
You do suspect him.
And he's been watched, telephone calls checked, mail. I have no reason to suspect him. Except that one thing bothers me.
What's that?
He has a small farm in Greendale County. He rarely went near the place in all the time he's been up here at the Capitol. But that suddenly changed.
3 weeks ago?
Yes, sir. He's been staying at the farm for 3 weeks.
Is there anything unusual about that farm?
Nothing unusual. Except Jimmy Collier has gone in for raising rabbits.
Jimmy,
Who is... Oh, hello, Claire.
you've been hiding from me.
I've been out here with the rabbits.
Jimmy, what's wrong?
With what?
You.
There's nothing...
You're lying. We grew up together, remember? We lived next to each other, Jimmy. We were going to be married.
Hey, wait a minute. We still are, last I heard.
You haven't heard recently enough.
What does that mean?
It means we're not getting married.
But, Claire...
You've been avoiding me, and you've been getting money, lots of money from someplace. And in a shady way, I feel.
All right, you know. So what?
I've been concerned about your sudden devotion to these rabbits and the kind of men you've been seeing.
What do you mean?
Like the one up at the house now, waiting for you.
Oh, there's somebody waiting?
That's why I came down here after you.
I'd better get up there.
He's a crook, Jimmy.
Look, All right. I sort of got myself in a mess. I needed money, but it's over, Claire. No more.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure.
I wish I could believe you. For your own sake. But I feel I can't. Not anymore.
Archie.
Yes, Mr. Wolfe.
Either stop breathing so heavily or...
Take the evening off?
Stop breathing.
Old Dr. Tidmouse wouldn't approve of that.
Who in blue and assorted blazes is old Dr. Tidmouse?
My family doctor.
Mavis keeps your puny mind, but you don't have a family. Answer the phone.
Oh, but it might be a case. It might be very important. It might mean work, Mr. Wolfe.
Archie.
W-O-R-K. You've got millions in the bank. Why worry?
Confound you. Do you want me to answer that phone myself?
Now you've got me. No, Mr. Wolfe. Couldn't let you knock yourself out lifting a telephone receiver. Nero Wolfe's office. Archie Goodwin speaking. What? Wait, Mr. Wolfe is to go up to Greendale at... Oh, now, look, friend. Mr. Wolfe does not go anywhere, and that includes Greendale. He wouldn't stir out of the house for anybody short of the... What? I see. Yes, sir, in an hour. Goodbye. Mr. Wolfe, brace yourself. You've got an appointment with a Mr. Williams at the Starlight Hotel in Greendale for 1 hour from now.
You're insane.
No, I'll admit I've been tempted.
Sure, were it not for the fact that often the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with a pale cast of thought.
Quoting Hamlet will get you no place.
I would fire you.
And then who would drive you to the Starlight Hotel in Greendale?
I'm not going to Greendale.
Nevertheless, in an hour you will be there.
And who, may I inquire, says so?
The governor of the state.
Is that all, Mr. Williams?
That, Mr. Wolfe, is all anyone knows about the situation. Except the guilty man, of course.
An admirably clear summary, Mr. Williams.
Obviously, our meeting here at the hotel was necessary. I couldn't be seen entering your house, nor would it have been advisable for you to visit the governor.
I can appreciate that. You're quite sure I need pay no attention to anyone on the committee except James Collier?
Quite sure.
Police surveillance of Collier is deemed unwise. He has suddenly taken interest in rabbits, but although keeping them may perhaps be considered suspicious, it is hardly in itself of value. You have no other evidence against Collier?
I know we're clutching at straws, Mr. Wolfe. But there is a leak and work is being nullified. Something must be done. Hence the governor's call for you.
Very well, sir. I shall attempt to be more than a man clutching at a straw. I said attempt. Archie, unpack. We shall stay at Greendale near Collier and his rabbits.
Mr. Wolfe? Mr. Wolfe? Oh, naturally, I know that shutting your eyes and pushing your lips in and out indicates you're thinking feverishly, but there's nothing for you to think about.
Three.
Oh, I accept your correction. What are you thinking about?
Hotel beds. They're notoriously flimsy.
Oh, you gave up on the case so soon.
Fiddlesticks. I already know exactly what role the rabbits play in our problem. Therefore...
We're going to drive out to Collier's farm?
You are.
While you test the hotel beds, fine.
It'll be necessary for you to spend the night at Collier's place. You'll drive out there and pretend you've lost a cylinder or something.
Oh, a lost cylinder. Oh, fine.
Confound you, Archie. You can invent something plausible as a pretext, and if you are properly charming, Mr. Collier will, I hope, invite you to stay the night.
And during the night I sleep, happily breathing the fresh country air.
Trust not.
Okay, Mr. Wolfe, I accept the assignment. I will learn all I can from Mr. Collier's rabbits. Incidentally, remember the play Harvey?
I do? Why?
Harvey was an invisible rabbit, a figment of a man's imagination. I hope this rabbit venture is more tangible, Mr. Wolfe.
It is, Mr. Goodwin. Will you desist and depart?
Okay. Oh, if anyone calls, just say I've gone out to Greendale to cross-examine a rabbit.
Archie, I think you're going to be quite surprised. Yes.
Running out of gas, and me such a big boy. Ah. Hello.
Hello?
That tree a friend of yours?
The tree?
Yeah, the one you're clutching.
Oh, I was leaning against it.
It's an idea, but not a good one. Trees are notoriously skittish. The instant you really need one, they're out sowing wild oaks or something.
You sound as if you know a lot about trees.
Oh, I do. I was brought up in one. Look, now, if you really have to lean, I can recommend...
No, thanks.
Huh? I tried. Nice moonlight we're having. My name is Goodwin, and blondes call me Archie.
I'm not blonde.
Brunettes call me Archie, too.
And what do redheads call you?
Oh, we'll just skip that, huh? And your name is...
Claire.
Claire. I approve. Now, you may not believe this, but I have just run out of gas. You think I might wangle some up at your house?
My house? You mean Jimmy's house?
All right, I mean Jimmy's house.
Well, I don't know. He might have some.
Now, why don't we go up to the house and ask him?
Well, all right.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy who?
Collier.
Uh-huh. I like to be formal when I'm borrowing gas. Would you mind waving your left hand in front of my nose?
Waving, Mike?
Yes, just try it. Don't worry. I won't bite it.
All right. I did.
And very gracefully, too. No ring on the third finger. You're not Mrs. Collier.
There isn't any Mrs. Collier.
Are you applying for the position?
Mr. Goodwin,
Now, remember what I confided in you about brunettes.
All right. Archie, you're a little rapid.
Maybe. But I always remember what old Dr. Tidmouse said.
What did he say?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Old time is still a-flying.
Robert Herrick wrote that.
He did? Dr. Tidmouse is a liar. How much farther is this house?
Well, it's just beyond those trees.
What?
There was something ran across the path. It brushed my legs. It frightened me so.
Must have been a rabbit.
I guess it was. Oh, I'm sorry. That was silly of me.
Oh. Don't worry about it. Also, you will have noticed how much more satisfactory I am than a tree. We're clutching at it, moments of stress, I mean.
Archie.
Mm-hmm. But you'd better let go now.
And
we'll get on to the house. See, I don't need a haircut, and you're not the right type for Delilah anyway.
You mean something by that. Something nasty.
Well, that depends. What I meant is you've already signaled whoever you're supposed to signal. Nothing frightened you back there.
Why?
That scream had a lot of carrying power. Oh, that's the house, huh? Looks peaceful enough.
Archie,
Who were you supposed to warn if anyone came up the path to the house?
For no one. Something did frighten me.
Honey, I've been lied to by experts, and you're not one. Ah. Think I ought to knock? No, we don't think I ought to knock. Dark inside, except for a handful of moonlight filtering in through the windows. Kind of early for Collier to turn in, isn't it?
I wouldn't know.
Let's go find out. Now, relax. Grandpa's making with the chimes. Time is... 10 o'clock. Oh, it's getting late. Come on. This would be the living room. Filled with early American furniture. The early Americans would be pleased. Nothing here. What's that door lead to?
I don't know.
Or won't tell? Smaller room. Dark as...
Come in. Put the beer on it. Oh, you're not the bellboy.
I'm sorry. I should have remembered to bring some beer.
Indeed, and you are?
I'm a fellow guest at this hotel, Mr. Wolfe. My name is Veek.
Veek, yes. A criminal of moderate intelligence and immoderate pretensions.
We won't quarrel, Mr. Wolfe. I've something to offer you. You and your boy Goodwin didn't drive up to Greendale for the exercise.
I dislike exercise. Shortens life.
James Collier lives nearby. The governor's committee on crime is unhappy. There's been a leakage of information. It hasn't helped them in their work.
But it has helped you.
You wouldn't have left your house in New York on any ordinary job. A request from the governor, however. Shall we stop fencing?
I don't have to fence with you.
The committee's work doesn't particularly bother me. I've already made my arrangements for retiring from active business, shall I say? However, I don't want you messing around in the meantime.
Indeed.
In your effort to discover how the committee's information leaked out, you might also discover a number of things about me that I prefer to remain undiscovered.
No one has employed me to do anything about you, sir?
Not directly, but indirectly you might have to. I want to insure myself against any such possibility. I want to make a deal with you. I'm ready to supply you with the name of the man responsible for the leak and papers proving his guilt. I have them here.
In return for which you expect?
A quick conclusion to your activities and your return to New York, leaving my name out of your reports.
I'm neither a public official nor a philanthropist. I should do nothing about you unless it becomes necessary. You may remove your hand from your pocket. You wouldn't dare shoot me. Now then, the name of the man.
James Collier.
Proof of his guilt?
These. A series of reports on the committee's meetings in Collier's handwriting.
Thank you. Good night, sir.
Good night. And I hope for your sake that we do not meet again.
Phew. Archie, answer the... Oh. Hello?
Mr. Wolfe?
Yes, Archie.
I'm at the Collier place.
Since it takes only 10 minutes to get there, may I congratulate you on your speed?
I've been at the Collier place for nearly an hour.
Doing what?
Oh, meeting Claire for one thing, discussing Rosebud.
Your delay has been explained. Good night.
And for another, I was being around when someone got murdered.
Ah, you laid hands on the murderer?
No, the room was dark. By the time I got Claire untangled from me and started looking for somebody with a gun, he'd left.
I see. And the dead man, of course, is James Collier.
No, sorry.
Found it had to be. Who was he?
Total stranger.
Archie.
I'm not being difficult. There was no identification on him.
Strange. A description.
Early 30s, height maybe 5'10", weight around 175 pounds. Blonde hair, blue eyes, very natty dresser. Suit custom tailored with a built-in shoulder holster. Don Juan shirts. Manicured but very dirty fingernails. And he... Uh-oh. Company.
The police?
Mm-hmm.
Very well, you tell them whatever you think proper, without mentioning the governor's committee, of course. You then bid them farewell and come to the hotel.
Can't I say goodbye to Claire, too?
You cannot. Confound you, Archie. Do you think I want to wait up all night?
Police were not happy about letting me go, but I threatened to tell you on them, so they gave up.
You have told me the entire story of what occurred at the Collier farm, Archie?
Mm-hmm. All details. If you like, I wouldn't mind repeating the parts about Claire.
Phooey.
You may call it phooey, I call it love. By the way, did you know that it was Robert Herrick who wrote that poem?
Confound you, be quiet.
Okay, push your lips around, but you've missed something.
I have?
Mm-hmm. The burning question of the day. Night, rather.
Which is?
Where is James Collier?
Ah.
Stop buying. The cops want him on suspicion of murder. The way it shapes up, he shot our unknown pal and then headed for the nearest border.
Nonsense.
Mean he didn't shoot our unknown pal?
I mean, Collier's whereabouts are not a mystery.
You know where he is?
I know where he is.
I don't believe it. You couldn't know. You haven't been out of the hotel. You haven't had any calls.
Archie, I use my intelligence. If you had used yours instead of voting the girl...
I still wouldn't know where Collier is. Never mind. I'm impressed. What do I do now?
You get Mr. Veek on the phone.
Huh?
He's staying here at the hotel.
Oh, old home week.
Operator.
Mr. Veek, please.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Veek?
Who is this?
Mr. Wolfe wants to speak with you. Just a second. Here you are, sir.
Thank you. Mr. V, where were you at 10 o'clock?
Why, on my way to the hotel.
You checked in at...
10:15, then came directly to your room.
One other question. You have an employee, a man in his early 30s, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and well-dressed. Am I correct?
Yes, that is Marshall.
No, that was Marshall. Good night, sir.
Having done that, whatever it meant, we now go to sleep?
So we go to the Collier farm.
Okay, but why?
Because, Archie, the time has come to cross-examine the rabbits. Confound you, Archie. You're not driving a truck. Be careful.
Truck drivers are careful. Also, they're courteous.
Indeed.
Furthermore, they will always stop to help a motorist in time of trouble.
Archie, are you training to become a truck driver, or have you fallen in love with a truck driver's daughter?
Her name is Susie, her hair the color of wheat fields at high noon. Never mind turning purple. I'm about to change the subject. Boss, I have a theory.
Stick to truck drivers.
As follows. Our boy Collier, who'd been selling information to Veek, had a change of heart and decided to turn ethical. But Veek's man, Marshall, at Veek's orders, tried to apply pressure, so Collier shot him and headed for Canada.
And the girl's role?
Was to brighten my life. Oh, you mean about her playing sentry? Well, she's in Veek's employ, too.
Phooey.
Don't like my theory.
It's charming. It merely happens to be wrong.
Merely happens to be... Why is it wrong?
Because, Archie, of a dead man's dirty fingernails, Marshall's fingernails.
Oh. Well, you made me bring you to the rabbit hutches. We have arrived. There are the rabbits. Go ahead, cross-examine them.
Good many hutches. A large pen for the rabbits to run about in. Notice that they're all cowering at the far end of the pen, ran as we entered.
That's because they don't like us, maybe, huh?
One of them, however, seems to be friendly. The one up here, and at the corner opposite us.
Oh, yeah, there is one here. He's not friendly, Mr. Wolfe.
Indeed?
He's dead. Somebody stove in his skull.
Interesting.
What's interesting about a dead rabbit?
He may be dead now, Archie, but he was friendly. Too friendly.
Claire, this is Mr. Wolfe. Mr. Wolfe, this is Claire. Claire, I'm Archie.
A chair, Archie.
A chair. Try this one. Be gentle with it. If you break it, all the early Americans will hate you.
It'll serve.
Steady.
Oh. Well, now then.
Mr. Wolfe, I'm dreadfully tired. The police have...
Are idiots.
What?
For example, do they know that you were posted as sentry outside this house in order to warn James Collier of any intrusion?
Well, they don't... I wasn't.
Do they know that James Collier and the dead man Marshall were quarreling?
No.
Do they know that James Collier had armed himself in preparation for this meeting with the gunman?
That isn't true.
It is true.
I don't have to say anything.
You've already said more than enough with your actions, my dear.
What do you mean?
According to Archie's report, and Archie is always meticulously accurate, when you and he opened the door of the room in which the murder took place, you screamed at the shots.
Well, of course. Any girl would scream with...
Then you clung to Archie with sufficient force and for sufficient length of time to prevent him from chasing the murderer. Why? Because you had seen and recognized the murderer as the man you loved.
It was too dark to see anything.
True. Therefore, you didn't have to see the man. You thought you already knew who the killer had to be.
That's a lie.
You're shielding James Collier, aren't you?
I'll never admit any of it. Never.
May not be necessary. Archie.
Yes, Mr. Wolfe?
Get hold of that policeman outside and remember what happened to one particular rabbit. Well, look around for freshly dug earth. Midnight.
What are we waiting for?
A return?
Archie's?
No, it'll take him longer.
Well, then whose?
Mr. Veek's, of course, complete with revolver. Come in, Mr. Veek.
It couldn't have been easier. No one outside, only the two of you here. I warned you, Wolfe.
Fiddlesticks. You merely tried to use me as a prop for an alibi and a rationalization for a motive.
I don't understand.
Mr. Wolfe does.
Indeed, I do. Did you really think me fool enough to believe your proposal, Mr. Veek?
It was plausible.
It was nonsense. You pretended you were handing James Collier, plus the proofs of his guilt, over to me in an effort to keep yourself out of the picture. But your proposition was silly. No matter how much I might have wanted to help you, I would have been powerless once James Collier went before a jury. You're too intelligent not to know that.
That couldn't have given you enough to go on.
It didn't. You yourself gave me more.
I did.
When you came to my room, you told me you knew Mr. Goodwin and I had come to Greendale, checked in at the hotel.
I did.
However, when I phoned you later and asked for an account of your movements between 10 and 10:30, you replied that you had driven to the hotel, signed in, and came directly to my room. Obviously, you already knew of my presence in the hotel. How?
I,
Only one way you could have known. You had seen Archie at some time prior to the time you checked in at the hotel, and the only place where Archie
Was here, at the farm.
Yes, which told me Mr. Veek had been here at the time of Marshall's death. What was Veek doing here? Only one thing. Murder.
Then he killed the gunman.
No other possibility.
But, Jimmy, I thought he did it.
James Collier couldn't have killed Marshall because at the time he was killed, James Collier was already
dead.
Archie!
What's this?
Leave it, Duffy. Let's play.
Undrop that gun first.
My arm! That's nice and cooperative, so...
You'll be quiet for a while. The cop is back in the rabbit pen, Mr. Wolfe, guarding Collier's grave.
Grave, Archie?
Yeah, with James Collier in it.
Oh, poor Jimmy.
Veek knew the expose was coming. He had to shut Collier up. So he had his gunman, Marshall, kill Collier and bury him in the rabbit run back of the hutches. You spotted that, boss, because of...
A dead rabbit. The others scuttled away from the man who bore James Collier's body to that lonely spot. But one rabbit overcame his fear. He was too friendly.
And got killed for it. There was that
And the dirty fingernails of Marshall, the gunman who killed and buried James Collier. Your description indicated extreme neatness. The dirty fingernails were a wrong note.
Yeah, indicated he'd been digging. So we know now, don't we? Veek killed his own triggerman to frame a dead man for it. Collier would be thought guilty. He'd be hunted among the living. And all the while... Oh, I'm sorry, Claire.
It's all right, Archie. I didn't love Jimmy. That was all washed up. Mr. Wolfe, I understand everything, except why did Jimmy suddenly start staying at the farm with the rabbits?
He knew he'd be watched. He couldn't risk conveying his information by telephone or the mails. Nor could he be seen holding conversation with men who might be traced to Veek. But who would suspect a truck driver delivering carrots for the rabbits as being the go-between for Jimmy Collier and Veek?
Nero Wolfe. Which is why I hope there's an adequate bed in this house for Mr. Wolfe.
Well, I'm sure I'll be able to find one.
Splendid, Archie. You will have the police remove Mr. Veek, and then...
And then maybe Claire would like to go gathering rosebuds, huh? By moonlight?
I would like to.
Phooey. I shall go up to bed now. I've seen the moonlight more times than I care to remember. However, while you and Miss Claire stroll through the moonlight, Archie...
Yeah?
You might remember that rosebuds have thorns.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sydney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program, produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Larry Dobkin as Archie Goodwin, and Martha Shaw, Hal Gerard, Herb Butterfield, Howard McNear, and Bill Johnstone. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Impolite Corpse. Don Stanley speaking. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. There's no cover charge at Duffy's Tavern. Just keep your dial on this NBC station this evening as Archie the Manager, played by Ed Gardner, and his remarkable friends serve up another blue plate special of grilled English language, fresh laughs and whimsy a la mode. Another Friday fun favorite is the delightful Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as the beleaguered Chester A. Riley. Now it's Sam Spade. Then, The Magnificent Montague on NBC.
Would you like a shout out? Leave a comment in the section below. Tell me who you want to shout out to, who you want to shout out from, and we'll get it up here for you. Hey, we want to say thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss any. Got a lot more of these up there. Go check them out under the playlist. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you want to see, what you think, and we'll see you next time.